This movie wasn't bad. Honestly, it was scared. And you can actually feel that fear in every single frame. Not in the acting, not in the visuals, but in the way this movie just keeps holding itself back. Justice League 2017 didn't fail because people didn't understand it. It failed because no one really trusted it. Not the studio, not the filmmakers, not even the movie itself. This wasn't a movie made on a set. That's the part people miss. It was a movie made in a conference room. People like to explain movie failures in simple ways. Bad writing, bad casting, wrong director. Yeah, those explanations feel comfortable. They make failure feel small, manageable. But the truth is, none of them explain why this movie feels wrong. Not boring, not offensive, just structurally uncomfortable. Like something is constantly stopping itself from fully existing. And that feeling doesn't come from talent, it comes from fear. Justice League didn't collapse creatively, it collapsed politically. Inside this production, there were two visions, multiple decision makers, and zero authority willing to commit. And you can tell, when no one is allowed to finish a sentence, the movie starts speaking in fragments. Here's the thing most people skip. This isn't really a story about Zack Snyder, and it's not a story about Joss Whedon. This is a story about what happens when a studio loses trust in its own decision-making. After Batman v Superman, panic set in, and yeah, you can tell, not reflection, not strategy, just panic. Suddenly, everything had to change. Tone, pacing, humor, messaging, not because a new idea emerged in, but because fear took control. And the truth is, fear never creates, it only reacts. You can actually feel that reaction everywhere in this movie. Scenes don't flow, they negotiate. Moments don't land, they compromise. Every emotional beat feels like it's asking permission to exist. And that's the part that makes nothing feel earned. Because nothing was ever allowed to fully commit. Look at the structure. One movie trying to introduce a team. Another movie trying to course correct a franchise. Another movie trying to reassure shareholders. All happening at the same time. That's not storytelling. That's damage control. And, yeah, damage control always shows. People often say Justice League feels unfinished. But honestly, that's not accurate. It's overmanaged. This movie doesn't feel like it ran out of time. It feels like it was stopped over and over again. Cut here, soften that, add a joke, remove the silence. Because silence is dangerous. Silence lets people think. And this movie just doesn't trust you to think. That's the real problem. Justice League doesn't trust its audience. It explains emotions before you feel them. It undercuts tension before it forms. It rushes past discomfort as fast as possible. Not because the filmmakers wanted to, but because the system demanded safety. And the truth is, safety kills weight. You can see it in the characters. They're not allowed to fail. They're not allowed to sit with doubt. They're not allowed to linger in uncertainty. Everything must keep moving, because forward motion feels like control, even when it's empty. And this is where the movie really breaks. Because Justice League wants the emotional payoff of a finished journey, without allowing the journey itself to exist. It wants unity without conflict, hope without sacrifice, meaning without patience. That's not heroic, that's corporate. If this all sounds familiar, yeah, it should. You've seen this before. Fantastic Four 2015 wasn't destroyed by bad ideas. It was destroyed by a system that didn't know what it wanted, only what it was afraid of.
Different studio, same disease. When everyone is fighting to protect their position, the movie becomes the battlefield, and the audience becomes collateral. That's why Justice League feels hollow, not because it lacks spectacle, but because it lacks conviction. No one was allowed to finish a thought. No one was allowed to own a mistake. And without ownership, there is no identity. This movie didn't fail because it tried something bold. It failed because it tried to be everything except itself. It wanted to be darker until it wasn't, funnier until it stopped, epic, but not risky. And honestly, the result is a movie that feels constantly interrupted by its own insecurity. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Justice League didn't need fixing. It needed belief. Belief in a direction. Belief in patience. Belief that audiences can handle discomfort. But belief is expensive. Fear is cheap. And fear always wins, at least in the short term. This wasn't a creative failure. It was a structural one. A movie designed by committee will always look like this: polished, loud, and emotionally absent. Because when no one is allowed to fail, nothing meaningful can succeed. Movies will keep getting packaged. Heroes will keep getting optimized. But stories need commitment.
And next time, we're not breaking down a movie. We're breaking down the system that keeps doing this again and again and again. Movies may lie, but we never will.
Welcome to Film Bastards.